I am Caleb Morrison, and I was 34 years old when my life split cleanly in two, before the call and after it. In 2026, life in Harbor City moved fast. Too fast for grief to arrive with courtesy. Too fast for bad news to soften its voice. I was in the middle of a strategy briefing on the 22nd floor of a glass tower downtown when my phone began to vibrate against the table. I almost ignored it. The number was unfamiliar. Private. Normally, I never answered calls like that during meetings. But something in my chest tightened, an ache I couldn't name, sharp and sudden, like a warning that didn't come with instructions. I excused myself, stepped into the hallway, and answered. Hello. There was silence. Then a shaky breath. Is this Caleb Morrison? Yes, I said slowly. Who's calling? This is St. Hilaire Medical Center. I'm calling about your father, Thomas Morrison. The hallway narrowed. The air felt thin. What about him? I asked. There was a pause. Longer this time. I'm very sorry, the woman said softly. Your father passed away early this morning. The words didn't land right away. They hovered. Unfinished. Unreal. Passed away? I repeated. Yes, sir. I leaned against the wall as my knees weakened. That's not possible, I whispered. I spoke to him 6 weeks ago. I understand, she replied gently. Would you like us to contact a family member for you? I swallowed hard. No. I'll handle it. The call ended, but the world didn't slow down with it. My father was gone. Thomas Morrison, the man who taught me how to ride a bike, how to keep my word, how to walk away from disrespect even when it hurt. The man who called every Sunday evening without fail, even when conversations were short. The man who never forgot my birthday. My hands shook as I dialed a number I hadn't called in years. The house number. It rang twice. Then a familiar, controlled voice answered. Hello. Marianne, I said. It's Caleb. Silence. Then, flat and cold. Why are you calling? My father is dead, I said. The hospital just called me. Another pause. Yes, she replied. I know. That word, no, cut deeper than the news itself. You knew? I asked. And no one told me? It happened early, she said. Things were hectic. I'm coming home, I said. I need to see him. You don't need to come, Marianne interrupted. My heart stopped. What do you mean? The arrangements are already being handled. It's best if you stay where you are. That's my father. And he was my husband, she snapped. I'll decide what's best. There it was. The wall. The same wall she built when she married him. The wall that slowly pushed me out of my own family. I'm coming, I said firmly. She laughed softly, not kindly. You won't be allowed. Don't embarrass yourself. The line went dead. I stared at my phone. Tears fell, not just because my father was gone, but because someone was trying to erase me from the moment that mattered most. And I didn't yet know that this was only the beginning. Before you continue, please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. Your support helps these stories reach the people who need them most. I arrived in Stonebridge, my hometown, 2 days later. The drive felt longer than it ever had. Every mile carried memories, late-night talks, weekend visits, the smell of coffee brewing too early in the morning. But when my car turned onto the familiar street, something felt wrong. The house looked the same. Fresh paint, trimmed lawn, a sleek black SUV in the driveway. But it didn't feel like my father's house anymore. I sat in the car, gripping the steering wheel, chest tight. This was the porch where he used to sit every evening. The door that was never locked against me. Before I could knock, it opened. Marianne stood there, black dress, pressed and perfect. Hair neat. Face calm in a way that felt rehearsed. You shouldn't be here, she said. Hello to you too, I replied. This isn't the time, she said. Family is grieving. I am family. You stopped being part of this household years ago. You made sure of that, I said. That's not true. Your father wanted peace. No, I replied. You wanted control. Her eyes hardened. Lower your voice. I don't care. Where is my father? He's already been taken to the funeral home. My heart dropped. I wanted to see him. That wasn't necessary. That sentence broke something in me. I pushed past her and stepped inside. The living room had changed. New furniture. New curtains. The family photos were gone. Where pictures of me and my father once stood were now large portraits of Marianne and Thomas, posed, stiff, staged. You erased me, I said. This is my home now. It was my father's. He was sick, she said suddenly. Since when? Last year. And no one told me? He didn't want to worry you. That's a lie. When is the funeral? I asked. She hesitated. When? It already happened. The room spun. You buried my father without me. You weren't invited. No goodbye, I whispered. Nothing. I'd do it again, she said. I nodded slowly. Then you should know something. She scoffed. You have nothing. We'll see. I didn't go to a hotel. I drove instead to my mother's old apartment, a small brownstone on the south side of town. When Mrs. Delgado from downstairs opened the door, recognition lit her eyes. Caleb, she whispered. I heard. I'm so sorry. Inside, she handed me an envelope. For my son, it read, in my father's handwriting. And in that moment, I understood. Marian hadn't rushed the funeral out of grief. She had rushed it out of fear. The envelope sat in my hands like something alive, fragile, and dangerous at the same time. I didn't open it right away. My father's handwriting, steady, familiar, felt heavier than paper. It felt final. Mrs. Delgado quietly moved into the kitchen, giving me space. The apartment settled into a silence broken only by the ticking clock on the wall. The same clock that used to mark time when I was a boy doing homework at the dining table while my mother cooked dinner. I finally slid my finger beneath the seal. Inside was a single folded letter. My son, if you are reading this, it means I didn't get the chance to say goodbye properly. For that, I am deeply sorry. My chest tightened. I pressed my lips together, forcing myself to keep reading. I know Marian made things difficult between us. I allowed peace to become silence and silence to become distance. That is my regret, not you. Never you. Tears blurred my vision. I should have fought harder. I should have spoken louder. I should have protected you the way your mother would have. I stopped there, breathing unevenly, then continued. I want you to know this clearly. You were never replaced. Not once. Not ever. My hands trembled. There are things Marian does not want you to know about my illness, my finances, and my will. I changed my will last year. Quietly. I left it with my attorney, not in the house. My pulse began to race. What I left you is not just money. It is proof. Proof of who you are to me. Proof of what is rightfully yours. The final line felt like a command whispered from beyond the grave. Do not let anyone erase you. I folded the letter slowly and pressed it against my chest. For the first time since the hospital call, my grief shifted. It didn't disappear, but it sharpened. Took shape. This wasn't just about being denied a funeral. It was about truth being buried alongside my father. Mrs. Delgado returned and sat across from me. You read it, she said gently. I nodded. She knew. That's why she rushed everything. She doesn't fear mourning, Mrs. Delgado said quietly. She fears exposure. I stood up, my posture straighter than it had been in days. I need a lawyer. She nodded. I know one. Samuel Grant. He helped your mother years ago. That night, sleep never came. I lay on the couch staring at the ceiling, replaying memories I had ignored for years. Small moments that finally made sense. Marian intercepting phone calls. Marian insisting my father was too tired to talk. Marian managing finances I never questioned because I trusted him. Control wrapped in concern. By morning, I was ready. Samuel Grant's office sat above a bookstore on a quiet street downtown. No glass walls. No marble floors. Just worn leather chairs and shelves filled with legal volumes and framed thank you letters. He listened without interrupting as I told him everything. From the hospital call to the buried funeral to the letter now sitting on his desk. When I finished, he leaned back slowly. Your father was thorough, he said. Very thorough. My stomach clenched. You've seen the will? Yes. Filed and notarized 8 months ago. And Samuel folded his hands. You are the primary beneficiary. The words hit like a thunderclap. She told me I had nothing, I said. She lied. How much? Samuel slid a document across the desk. The number stared back at me. $4.2 million. Assets. Property holdings. Investment accounts. A trust. And something else. There's a clause, Samuel added. A conditional clause. I looked up. What kind? If anyone attempts to interfere with notification of beneficiaries, conceal death, or restrict lawful access to funeral proceedings, their share is subject to review. My breath caught. She did all of that. Samuel nodded. Which is why she's panicking. I laughed once, short and humorless. She buried my father to protect herself. And now, Samuel said calmly, We bring everything into the light. The first letter went out 3 days later. A formal notice of representation. A request for full estate disclosure. A reminder of legal obligations. Marianne responded the same day. With hostility. Her attorney accused me of emotional manipulation, abandonment, and harassment. Claimed my father had been confused when the will was updated. Samuel only smiled when he read it. She's desperate, he said. The next move was ours. I returned to the house once more, this time with legal notice in hand. Marianne opened the door and froze when she saw Samuel beside me. You have no right. Actually, Samuel said calmly, he does. Her face tightened. This is harassment. No, I replied. This is accountability. We walked through the house together. Samuel documented everything, missing documents, altered financial files, removed records. In my father's study, we found it. An empty drawer. Samuel raised an eyebrow. She removed documents. Marianne snapped. Those were private. They were part of the estate, Samuel replied. Tampering carries consequences. That was the first crack in her composure. Weeks passed. Depositions were scheduled. Records subpoenaed. And the truth unraveled faster than she could control. Medical records showed my father's condition had been stable until medication changes. Changes Marianne had approved without notifying me. Financial logs showed accounts quietly redirected. Emails revealed instructions to funeral staff specifying no contact with son. The judge didn't hide his displeasure. Why? He asked Marianne during proceedings. Was the deceased's only child excluded from burial? She hesitated too long. Personal reasons, she said. The judge leaned forward. That is not a legal answer. The courtroom was silent. The ruling came down 2 months later. Marianne lost her share. All of it. The estate transferred to me in full. But the victory felt hollow. I stood alone outside the courthouse, documents in hand, wind brushing past me, thinking not of money, but of time. Time stolen. Moments denied. A goodbye I never got. That evening, I drove to the cemetery. This time I stopped. I stood by the headstone as the sun dipped low, shadows stretching across the grass. I'm here, I whispered. And for the first time, I felt heard. The weeks after the ruling were quieter than I expected. No phone calls. No surprise letters. No dramatic appeals. Marianne vanished from my life the same way she had once tried to erase me from my father's. Suddenly and completely. But silence doesn't always mean peace. It gives memories room to speak. I returned to the house one final time, not as an intruder, not as an unwanted reminder, but as the legal owner. The locks had already been changed under court order. The black SUV was gone. The driveway sat empty, like a held breath finally released. Walking through the front door felt strange. The house no longer resisted me. The living room still carried traces of her choices. Furniture that never belonged, colors my father never would have chosen. But beneath that, I could feel him again. In the creak of the stairs. In the faint scent of old books drifting from his study. I moved slowly, opening drawers, closets, cabinets, undoing erasure one space at a time. In the hallway closet, I found them. Boxes. Dusty. Labeled in my father's handwriting. Caleb's school. Caleb photos. Caleb letters. My throat tightened. I carried them into the study and sat on the floor like a child again, opening the first box. Inside were report cards, old notebooks, drawings from when I was too young to spell my name correctly. Things that should have been thrown away years ago. Things he had kept. So she hadn't erased me completely. She just never found everything. In the second box, I found photographs. Me on my first bike. Me holding a trophy. Me standing beside my father at a science fair. Both of us smiling awkwardly at the camera. In the third box, I found letters. Letters he had written but never sent. Some were addressed to me. Some to my mother. Some had no names at all. One envelope, yellowed with age, caught my attention. Inside, just a single page. If you ever read this, know that I failed you by being quiet. I thought silence would keep the peace. Instead, it cost us time. I hope one day you forgive me. I folded the letter carefully and placed it back. That night, I slept in the house for the first time in years. Not because I needed the space, but because I needed the closure. Marianne resurfaced once more. Not with anger. With desperation. Her call came late one evening. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Almost. Caleb, she said, her voice thinner than I remembered. We need to talk. I don't think we do. You ruined my life, she said. I let out a slow breath. No. You ruined your own. You took everything. I took what my father left me. He was confused. He was clear. Silence stretched between us. I loved him, she said finally. I believe you loved what he gave you. She scoffed weakly. You think you're better than me now? No, I replied calmly. I think I'm free. The line went dead. That was the last time I heard her voice. The estate took months to fully settle. Properties sold. Accounts transferred. Trusts finalized. The numbers were substantial, more than enough to change a life. But money wasn't what healed me. What healed me was what I chose to do with it. I funded a scholarship in my mother's name, for children navigating blended families, grief, and loss. I restored the house, not into something modern or impressive, but into what it used to be. Familiar, warm, honest. I framed one photograph and placed it in the living room. Just me and my father. No replacements. No staging. Just truth. On the anniversary of his passing, I returned to the cemetery. This time I brought flowers. I fought, I said quietly, standing before the headstone. Not for the money, for the truth. The wind moved gently through the trees. I wish you had trusted me sooner, I added. But I forgive you. I meant it, because forgiveness doesn't erase pain. It releases it. Some stories don't end with shouting or applause. They end with understanding. Marianne lost everything she tried to control. I gained something she never understood. My place. My name. My father's voice, finally heard. And if there's one thing this journey taught me, it's this. You cannot bury the truth forever. You cannot erase love with silence. And you cannot steal someone's right to belong. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. Turn on your notification bell so you never miss an episode of Mirror Wealth Stories, where hidden truths always rise and justice always finds its way home.